Hello ladies and gentlemen, Panzer here, and welcome to the first episode of Guns of One. This is a series where I take a look at the weapons and equipment in Battlefield 1 and discuss the history of them and see just how realistic all of it really is. In this episode we're going to take a look at what is possibly the most controversial addition to the loadouts of Battlefield 1, the MP18. The Bergmann MP18 was first designed in 1916 by German designer Hugo Schmeisser. It's often credited as being the world's first submachine gun, however that credit actually goes to the Italian Villar-Perosa M15, which was a double-barrel design intended for use on aircraft, but the MP18 still retains this credit to this day since the Italian design was originally intended to be a light machine gun. However, it's just that modern classification of submachine guns does actually classify it back as a submachine gun. So, technicalities aside, the MP18 could then be considered the world's first. The MP18 was chambered for the German 9mm Parabellum, and was originally designed to accommodate a 20-round box magazine. That was fairly standard in appearance. However, during trials, the testing commission insisted that the weapon be redesigned to accommodate the 32-round snail drum magazine that we see in the game. And this was a change for practical reasons, since the magazine was also used by the long-barreled artillery version of the P08 pistol. This would reduce any additional logistical strain on the German army, since magazines and ammunition supplies for the weapons could be pulled from existing stores. The weapon itself featured what is known as an open bolt firing mechanism. This means that when preparing the weapon to fire, the chamber of the weapon remains empty, and the bolt is simply pulled back. When the trigger is pulled, the bolt moves forward, feeding around into the chamber and firing it in a single action. Recoil from firing then moves the bolt backward, and the cycle repeats until the trigger is released or the magazine is emptied. This is a fairly simple system, and it allows for automatic fire with reasonably high reliability. However, since the trigger mechanism was holding the bolt back, it made the MP18 very prone to accidental firing. A hard knock on the butt of the weapon was likely to make it go off. It was so common that the German police at the time specifically requested for safety mechanisms to be put in place. For soldiers, keeping the weapon in the closed position became common practice, especially since the closed bolt served as a means of protecting the chamber from foreign objects and dust. It also had accommodations for bayonet fixtures, as bayonet fighting was still a major part of military doctrine at the time. So, all in all, the MP18 in Battlefield 1 is fairly realistic, but where it falls down is its usage. The MP18 did not enter production until 1918, where it was manufactured by Thomas Bergmann Abteilung Waffenbau. As such, it didn't enter service until the final stages of the war. But it still played a key role in the war. During the Ludendorff offensive beginning in March 1918, the German army concentrated many of its forces into specially trained stormtrooper units, in what could be described as a contributing predecessor to the blitzkrieg tactics used over 30 years later. The stormtroopers advanced into Allied trenches and engaged them directly and without warning. It was in this close-quarter environment that the submachine gun's role in combat began to show. Being smaller and easier to maneuver in tight spaces, it was more adept and nimble than a full-sized rifle. The fully automatic fire capability of the weapon also allowed it to provide high volumes of fire without requiring large numbers. It is the same set of characteristics that modern submachine guns such as the ubiquitous Heckler & Koch MP5 are highly praised for. But due to the weapon's late entry into the war, it still saw limited combat service, and therefore it would not have been as common as it is in Battlefield 1. All in all, by the end of the war, approximately 5,000 to 10,000 MP18s had been produced, of which at least 5,000 were confirmed to have been used during the war. And this is a relatively small percentage when compared to other frontline weapons. However, it was a weapon that certainly had an impact on weapon design for many years to come. From the Russian PPSH to the British Lanchester submachine gun, the MP18's inspiration showed through, but it certainly wouldn't have been what everyone on the front line was running around with. But let me know what you guys think. This is a new series on the channel covering a totally new game, so let me know what you think of this first episode, and what do you think of the MP18? Also, what would you like to see covered in the next episode? Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and don't forget to leave a like if you've enjoyed the video, and subscribe if you're new to the channel. My name is Panzer, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.